Hey everyone, it's Mr. Hollywood, and today we are talking about episode 2 of the Beast Game series. And, let's just hop right in. So, previously on Beast Games, we got introduced to Beast City. There were some cool enough challenges that tried to narrow it down to the best. Now, previously on Beast Games, there was a few challenges to try to eliminate a handful of people, and then by the end, the people who were strong enough to not take the bribes to fight for their spots moved on to Beast City, and this is where the fun really begins. Episode 1 was fun. Episode 1 of the show was fun. This was next level. So, let's talk about episode 2 of Beast Games. It all really started with the contestants walking to Beast City, and throughout the first day in Beast City, they got to enjoy Beast City in a few ways, but they also did do some challenges that would eliminate their team. The challenges were pretty cool, and they also raised some good questions. It's like, in a team challenge, would you take the bribe, or would you try to go for your more guaranteed team win? Specifically that throwing challenge where they needed to throw it in like it was just a big cup. They had the opportunity to get the almost guaranteed points, or go for the, I believe it was 250,000. It was, I believe, 250,000 or 100,000, but it's like their chances of making in that were way smaller. But at the same time, they also would get the money if they made it, but they also wouldn't get the point even if they made it. So that does raise some good questions. But it also raises a question, are the people that go first at a bit of an unfair advantage to get the money? Because realistically, if you're going first, I guess you could go for it because then you still have all your teammates. At the same time, I feel like the order actually would have an effect on what people would go for. But anyways, the challenges were cool enough. They were very fun to watch. They weren't like the most unbelievable, but they were getting things going, and they were stirring it up to what was an epic final part to this episode. And I'm just gonna kind of just get right in. Like, for these episode reviews, I'm not really gonna just talk about every little thing. I'm kind of just gonna sim through what I found the most interesting to talk about. In the final part of this episode, 4 captains got the opportunity to win so much money while eliminating their team for absolutely free. Now, in the previous episode, I complained how it felt a little redundant. And while in some ways I still feel that way a bit for this, so it's not like this is like the one exception. The reason it didn't feel as redundant is because they don't even get eliminated. Now, you would obviously think, oh, of course, take the money if you're not going to get eliminated. What's the point? And that's definitely a question I had. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen episode 3 or 4, or this, we don't know what happened, what was the outcome, or if the captains decided to eliminate their team or not, till episode 3. So, I'm not going to actually talk about the outcome until my next review, which would be the episode 3 of this show. However, I definitely had a lot of questions going. It's like, do you really does it really matter if you're hated so much by the contestants if you also like made hundreds of thousands, or in the case $1 million? I mean, and that's like, and if I was in this position, that would obviously be my mindset too. Also, at the same time, one of my thoughts is, shouldn't they just, maybe, if they're not going to eliminate it, they should just ask the people who are at risk of being eliminated, if you win, you have to split it with me half, or just give me $1 million. Because technically, while you sound greedy, at the same time, they also could have eliminated you for $1 million. So yeah, it does raise up some good questions. At the same time, obviously, you're always gonna have people questioning you. So like, obviously, it's gonna be controversial, whatever your option ends up being, if you decide to eliminate your team or not. Because even before knowing what the outcome was, like, in one hand, if you press the button to eliminate your teammates, of course there will be a portion that will hate you, being like, oh, this guy sucks, this guy's a psycho. But if you refuse to eliminate it for $1 million, people would be like, why didn't you take the money? So yeah, it's like, I don't know, because it's like, how bad do you really feel if you eliminate all these people for $1 million if you've probably only known them for a few hours, maybe a few days? Because I'm gonna assume, like, these people don't really, like, but prior to the challenge, I'm gonna kind of assume the captains didn't just know all these people very well. Maybe they know a few of them mildly well, or very well, but they probably only known they've probably only known a select few pretty well that were in their team that they could have very easily eliminated. So it kind of does bring up that question as well. I mean, see, if I was in that situation, it is kind of hard. But I'm gonna be very honest, I would have probably pressed the button for $1 million. Which you guys can comment that I'm greedy, I only care about it. But realistically, at the same time, while money doesn't obviously buy you happiness, at the same time, given that I'm only 16, if I were to win $1 million, I obviously wouldn't keep it all. At the same time, you're kind of set up for a pretty good future if you have $1 million before graduating high school. And while it could also end up being your downfall, depending on how careful you are and if you're responsible with your money and having people look out, I feel like it could also help you. But yeah, it's like, obviously I'm not in the challenge, so like I have all these theories of what would happen if I was in the challenge, but obviously we would never know for sure unless I was actually in the challenge, because obviously seeing it on TV definitely doesn't come across the same as being the one that's in that position, which I feel like you don't need to be in the episode to know that. But I mean, yeah, it was very suspenseful, but then they did the Across the Spider-Verse thing where they cut it. You have to see next episode what their outcome. But yes, overall, episode 2 definitely has the series having a lot of momentum and leave me very excited for the future of this series and the future of these reviews. Even though episode 3 and 4 of the Show of Array came out, I am still very excited just to talk about them, because those ones have an even more suspenseful outcome and a lot more room for conversation. Anyways, episode 2 of this show, I'm going to give an 8.5. It had a lot of very solid games. They weren't the most mind-blowing. At the same time, I very much so enjoyed my time with this episode, and the ending gave me goosebumps. So anyways, thanks for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts on this episode down below in the comments. And I cannot wait to talk about episode 3 and 4 and beyond. of the Beast Games show. Now, thanks for watching, and peace out.